Welcome back, V.O.C. YouTube channel, college football. Week 4 is finished. We're on to week 5. Now we're getting into some conference play. Games are getting better. A lot to, I think, look forward to with this season. You know, we're 4 or 5 weeks in. We're seeing some trends start to happen with teams. I think we're starting to see some teams separate. But today I first want to dive into the polls and why they're bad this year. I don't know why they're as bad, but I just want to talk about some things with the polls because it's been a big topic. I feel like every show you watch has talked about the polls this year when it comes to college football. So I'm going to dive into that. I'm going to dive into the job openings so far and how it feels like they're happening about every week. And then I'll talk about the picks. So let's jump into it. When I look at the polls, right, the AP preseason poll comes out every year, right? We get an AP preseason poll. We look forward to that poll. But should we look forward to that poll? No. The polls are a problem, I think, when it comes to college football because it gives us a mindset that, oh, this team, boom, ranked. This, where they are, man, they're going to be really, really good. They're not, right? You don't know what a team's fully going to be. You know what you think some teams are going to be, your Georgias, your Alabamas, your Ohio States, your Clemsons, Michigan this year, USC's based on schedule and things like that. You kind of have a feeling of what they're going to be like. Some teams you have no clue, right? This poll system to me is one of the biggest problems in college football today. But we love the polls and love to bitch about them, so that's why we keep working with them. That is why it gets us something to talk about. It gets me to sit here and take 5-10 minutes out of my day to talk about it. Five teams from the preseason top 25 poll have dropped out after just 4 weeks. So we're in 4 weeks of play. 5 teams are already out. One of those teams being a top 5 team, which is Notre Dame. But I even said at the beginning of the year, I believe Notre Dame was ranked so high to give Ohio State that win, that number 5 marquee win. That's what I truly believe. Now, as a Notre Dame fan, yeah, 5th, we could have seen it, right? I fully felt, yeah, should have been 5 anyways, but I also felt, and I said it, this is a little high, a little rich to give Ohio State to win. Wait another couple of weeks, and there's going to be more teams that drop out that started, and we've already had fluctuations. These teams right now came into the season unranked. This is where they're at right now. Tennessee, unranked coming into the year, now they're number 8. And Tennessee is probably the second best team on the East of the SEC, which is very good. Penn State, now number 11. I think Penn State is, at the end of the year, they'll be the second best team in the Big Ten East, which will be very, very good. Washington is now 15. Minnesota, who will probably win the Big Ten West, is now 21. Kansas not being ranked is a joke. They're undefeated 4-0. UCLA as well not being ranked. Their 4-0 is a joke. My solution is let's not rank till about week 8. That's a great solution, right? Like, you think it's easy to say, no, let's not rank everybody till week 8. It's not going to happen, but I think it's what we need to look at. We need to get a more body of work with teams, and we need to watch conference play because these polls have been fluctuating. And the teams they had ranked, Notre Dame lost to Marshall. Miami lost to Middle Tennessee State. That blanked my head. Texas A&M, who's still ranked, they lost to Appalachian State. It's just a lot of fluctuation. But I think having these Power 5 teams that are undefeated, not ranked, over a Power 5 team who's one loss, I think is an embarrassment. I knew there was a problem with the polls when Florida was unranked coming into the year. They beat Utah. Granted, they beat Utah at home, who was number 7 after the first week of the year. Beat them at home. Florida jumps like all the way up to 12. And now where's Florida at now? They're unranked. I think there's a lot of overreaction with these polls this year. And I don't know why. I don't know what the voters are thinking. I don't know what the coaches are thinking when they make these polls, but there's a problem. I think we need to wait a little bit longer and just not come into the season having a mindset for things and having an open mind for things. All right, job openings. Like I said, each week it feels like there's job openings. Nebraska's open. They fired Scott Frost. He was there 3, 4, 5 years. Paid him $20 million to basically walk. Last year, or 2 years ago, they gave him a contract extension. I think it was last year. Atrocious. Look, Nebraska, this is not the 80s or the 90s. Teams passed you, and you are no longer as big as a brand as you once thought you were. Now, Nebraska's still a top 25 job because of the fan base. It's still Nebraska, right? You still have the name, and you still have the Big Ten, but it's not as big as it once was, and it's a hard job because it's been so bad for so long. You fired a coach that went, 9-3 or something about 10 years ago, Bo Pelini. Like, that was horrid. You think you're something you're not. Therefore, I don't know who the hell they're going to hire. If it were me, I'd hire Matt Rule. I'd call him right now from the Panthers, and I'd say, look, we need to hire you before potentially Auburn comes open and he wants to go to Auburn. That's where I'd go if I was Nebraska. Arizona State fired Herm Edwards after 4.25 years. Look, if I'm Arizona State, Herm Edwards is not a great football coach. Great personality for TV, not a good football coach. Prove that in the NFL, prove that in college. I would go really young here, someone energetic, someone who can build a program based off of the new Pac-12 that's going to be happening with USC leaving, UCLA leaving. Have them come in and really build a brand, build with the recruiting base that's really good in Arizona, and let them mesh it. Don't try to go out and get a big name. Try to, do like what Arizona did. Got somebody nobody even knows the name of, and he's slowly building something. And then Georgia Tech got fired their coach, Jeff Collins, Jeff with a G, after 3.25 years. Look, if you're Georgia Tech, I know you're like a great academic institution. Look, you're in the ATL. You're in Atlanta. Go hire Deion Sanders. Give Prime full control so then you can shove it up Florida State's ass because they didn't hire him. He's flashy, flair. You're going to get kids that are going to leave Jackson State to go follow him anyways. I would go and hire Deion Sanders. Give him big boy job. Any of these schools, honestly. But just, to me, Georgia Tech and Deion makes sense just because of what he could do with that base in Georgia and Atlanta especially, and just what he brings. I think anywhere he goes, kids are going to like it. So I would do it if it were me. But there's going to be more job openings. Auburn potentially could come open. A lot of other big-time jobs could come open. It always happens. It'll be interesting to see fully what happens. I think Stanford could come open with David Shaw. David Shaw in Stanford have slowly gone downhill. His stock was so high about 5 years ago. It's slowly dropped. Tough school to win at, but I think that's an intriguing job. I think the West Coast jobs in the Pac-12 are very intriguing just because of what the Pac-12 is going to be in a couple of years. It's kind of up for grabs. Big 12 as well. It's going to be kind of up for grabs. So it's interesting to see what those schools do moving forward. All right, moving on to picks. 5-3 last week, 19-9 on the year. Really good in college football, terrible in the NFL. It's usually how it works. First game, number 15 Washington, 4-0, 2.5-point favorite at UCLA, who's also 4-0. I believe UCLA should be ranked. I really like what Chip Kelly has done at UCLA. For a school that doesn't really give a shit about football, he's done well. I'm going to go UCLA to win this game. I think Washington, little overreaction. I like UCLA. Number 4, Michigan, who is an 11-point favorite at Iowa, who's 3-1. This is a noon game. If this was a night game, this would be slowly die hard go Iowa here. I think this game is closer than the experts think. Closer. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be an interesting game for Michigan. They had a test last week in Maryland. They beat Maryland. They were going to beat Maryland, but it was a little bit of a test. This week's going to be a bigger test, but I believe it's going to be close. But I think Michigan pulls this one out. Iowa doesn't have as much offense, and their defense is good, but it's not as good, I think, as people think when you put it up against a Michigan offense. Number 7, Kentucky, who's 4-0 at number 14, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 7-point favorite. I usually go the Lane train. Choo-choo! I'm all about Lane Kiffin. But I didn't get this line. I I like Kentucky, more established. I believe in their quarterback, Will Levis, a little bit more than I do Jackson Dart. I just like Kentucky. They're a good team. Them fighting with Tennessee on the east side is going to be very, very intriguing moving forward. Number 18, Oklahoma, 3-1, 6.5-point favorite at TCU, who's 3-0. Oklahoma coming off of kind of an embarrassing loss against Kansas State. I think they bounce back and they win this game. Number 2, Alabama, 4-0, who's a 17-point favorite at number 20, Arkansas. Arkansas just lost to Texas A&M. If their kicker makes a field goal, they beat Texas A&M. I think this game is closer than people think. We've already seen Alabama play a road game once this year, and it was close. I like Alabama, but I think Arkansas is going to keep this game interesting, and it's not going to be one where Alabama just walks in and beats somebody on the road and just, lays it all out. I think you might see some folds in Alabama's armor. Number 9, Oklahoma State, who is undefeated at number 16, Baylor, 3-1. Baylor's a 2.5-point favorite. Very intriguing game. How good is Oklahoma State? How good is Baylor? I like Baylor only because of this game being at home for Baylor. If it was the other way around, I'd probably go Oklahoma State. Number 22, Wake, coming off their first loss this season against Clemson. At number 23, Florida State. Florida State's a 7-point favorite. This is another game I don't agree with. I like Wake Forest in this game. They fought hard against Clemson. They have offense. Sam Hartman. I like Sam Hartman more than I like Florida State's quarterback. I just like Florida State. I like Wake Forest in this game. When I look at these games in college, I like to look at the quarterbacks and who I think's better, who I trust more. In this game, I trust Wake's quarterback more. Big game right here, top 10 matchup. Number 10, NC State, walking in at number 5, Clemson. Clemson's a 7-point favorite. I don't think NC State is as good as people think. I'm going to go Clemson here, and I think Clemson could beat them by 14. There's something about NC State. I don't fully believe in them. I don't fully believe the hype in their quarterback. And I think Clemson's defense is really good at home. It's one of those games where it's just like Clemson has a shot to just kind of showcase DJ coming off a very big game where he's thrown most yards, most touchdown passes. He's just coming in hot. He played really good last week. I think it's a chance for him to showcase who he really is and for people to see how good Clemson really is, because they are very good. So that's going to do it. Not much going on. Shitting on the polls. Not the only one. Talking about the hirings. There's going to be more to come, and I think this is going to be weekly. These schools are getting more impatient. ADs are getting fired as well. President's getting fired probably. They throw out money, but they're not patient with it. And then picks this week. So I think I hopefully do well. Doing good so far this year, but you never really know. So that's going to do it. Thanks for watching.